All
get this
right,
started
everybody. We are live now on YouTube.
on
Quite the
YouTube.
upgrade from Clubhouse, isn't it, Ray?
It's quite the upgrade. I haven't done this before, and I'm excited to try this out. I'm sure we're gonna do well in our first live Business Temple show. And with that said, I think we should just go ahead and just play us in.
Play us in, brother. You know, we got to hype them up for the weekend, as always.
And here we go. Well, actually, I'm gonna ask you to play that.
There you go.
Woo! All right.
Woo! All right. We sound like we're going to do a CrossFit commercial.
Maybe. I don't know. Who's ready today? It's Saturday here
Yes, sir.
in New York. I don't know what day it is out there. All our viewers all over the world. It is incredible to be here. Our first ever Business Temple show live on YouTube.
Let's get it on.
We're used to doing it live on Clubhouse, but hey, it's time to try something new. It's trying to branch out and do something a little bit better. But with that said, yeah, welcome everybody to the Business Temple. I don't know, I'm just so excited to be here. And today we're just going to be covering one of a very interesting topic, and it's all about street smarts. And with that said, Alex, what lessons have you learned from street smarts, and do you still apply them?
Absolutely. I absolutely still apply the street knowledge that I've learned all the time, that I've learned from before. And one of the most enlightening lessons that I've learned from the streets is choose your discomfort. So, context, I'm an entrepreneur. I lived in Manila, Philippines. I started my entrepreneurial career there. And choose your discomfort is meaningful for me because when I started my business 7 years ago, I was broke. You know, I didn't have any seed funders, no savings or anything like that. And then I realized, you know what? Failure, that is uncomfortable. Success, equally uncomfortable. So you might as well just choose success. So you just got to choose your discomfort.
Choose your discomfort. Wow, that is interesting. But I have a follow-up question to that.
Bring
When it
it.
comes to street smart, how do you choose your own discomfort? It's not like, for example, I'm born, raised here in New York. It's an uncomfortable place to live sometimes. You know, it could be hard. And I have a few stories of how hard it could be. And for me, that's where I learned many lessons in how I obtain my street smarts. And what about those people that don't have a choice? It's more so you have to grow up faster than most because, hey, just the environment that you grew up in.
Well, when you say you have to grow up faster than most, isn't that the choice they're making?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's like, or do you mean to say like in your environment, you just have no choice but to mature, get stuff done, make it work, make ends meet because you
Yeah,
don't have a choice in the matter. Is that what you meant?
absolutely. I think when you are in a vulnerable position, meaning when you're a child, when you're a kid, where most of the decisions in life are made for you, then you don't really have a choice. And when it comes to street smarts, I think there are moments in your life where you just don't have a choice and in the matter because of just the environment that you grew up in. But that's where I'm curious to know, like, because you did mention, okay, if to having street smarts, is it possible to even develop those skills and those that acuity later on in life?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think street smarts is just another slang or fancy word for experience.
Mm.
Empirical stuff. That's the stuff that I always say. Empirical. You'll hear me say that if you've been following our clubhouse. So when I say personal experience, it's just stuff that you don't learn from books.
Mm.
And I think we did an episode about that before. Was it called empiricism?
Yeah,
like
empiricism.
experience versus knowledge,
Experience versus
right?
knowledge. So we did do a whole episode on what's best for you, experience or knowledge. And it turns out most of the time, experience actually trumps any book smarts that you have. But to that end, I do want to mention that there are several types of IQ. So you have your emotional IQ, you have your intelligence IQ, and you also have your uh, adversity IQ, and emotional IQ. And within those four categories, I think more of the IQ coming from like practical knowledge and practical skills, and the amount of shit you could just take.
Mhm.
I apologize for cursing within the
Get
first
it?
2 minutes, but
No,
yeah,
it's all
the
good.
whole
We're
stuff
six
that you
minutes
can
in.
take, it's practical knowledge as well, and just having that, it's going to bring you so far in life. It's going to help you have a thicker skin, not let things just get to you as easily, and then also keeps you away from danger. It's having that gut feeling,
Yeah.
that intuition, and common sense, to be honest. Just common sense to do what is right, to do things that, okay, that avoids danger. If you see a dark alley and it's in the middle of the night, and then there's, I guess, sketchy people hanging about, would you walk down that alley, or would you try to find another path to go down?
Yeah,
That's
if you see
what
Ray
it
and I in an
is.
alley, you don't want to walk near us, man.
Yeah, you
Like,
should say hi.
yes, Super Ray and Super Alex, we're super friendly as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know what? You make such a great point. I initially didn't think about, the different types of quotients. I guess you said
Yeah.
emotional quotient, intellectual quotient, and the other one was adversity quotient. Did you mention
Yes,
another one?
social
Was it
quotient,
four?
adverse. Yeah, yep. Mhm.
Okay, so I feel like, so the IQ, the intellectual quotient, that's where the book smart comes in,
Mhm.
right? But then when it comes to EQ and AQ, I
Mhm.
feel like that's where more street smarts come in. Where, if we can clarify that for everybody, to me, what street smart means other than experience is like what Ray said earlier, just trusting that gut feeling or trusting your instincts and having that situational awareness of your environment. Now, I know in New York, you need to have a lot of situational awareness.
No, absolutely. Just the other day, someone got pushed down the train.
Oh shit.
I know it is not a great feeling to have that. It's good and it's bad, I would say, because I've spoken about this before, about how you can view the world in a different lens. I'm not saying view the entire world in rose-colored lens, but I feel like people
Yeah.
with higher practical intelligence and higher street smarts view the world in that everything is out to get them. Everything is a danger. If you notice people that have grown up in New York, and how that, or people that actually grew up in the hood. I grew up in the hood. Every time they go outside, they look at every single direction. It's like the thing that your parents say: when you cross the street, you look both ways because you never know what the other person might do. When you live in the hood for a long time, you look at every single direction, and then you can sense danger from a mile away. And I think that's a superpower I have, where I can actually I have a really good danger detection, but that's because I am a bit paranoid. It does come. It's a little bit of
Yeah,
a
you're
paranoia.
alert.
It's like you always alert. You're always looking. I don't even put on my headphones when I'm on a platform. I
Yeah,
don't do
yeah.
that. I'm always aware. I make sure I'm not even looking at my phone. Always being aware. Always just paying attention to what's going on, because you just never know what's lurking right around the corner.
I got a question for you, Ray.
Mhm.
What you just said about street smarts, being alert, having that situational awareness, being able to detect bullshit from a mile away. How do you apply that to entrepreneurship? You have a company, Your Voice New York, it's a public speaking company, right? How would you apply the street smarts that you gained over the years to your company?
I like I'm in the service industry. I like to think that I provide the product that I provide for the people that come to me is a service. I help them become better speakers. And in doing so, I let them know that they should feel confident in the way that they speak, and understand that if they do want to change, that they have to work and put in the time to develop that skill.
Yeah.
And like any skill, being street smart is something that you can develop over time if you have grown up in a safer environment. And I agree with you in that sense, Alex, where you can learn how to be street smart later on in life. I mean, take example, my girlfriend. She
Mm-hmm.
moved to New York with me, and she's gotten a lot better to a point where I can trust her going outside late at night, even though she's half my size.
Yeah.
I think just like any skill, it can be learned. You can become more situationally aware, but I think you have to be thrown into the lion's den in order to learn that skill. And much like public speaking, you're never going to be a better speaker unless you take the stage, you take the limelight. If you want to be better at practical knowledge, you want to get better at your situational awareness, just jump into the fire. Go into a neighborhood that you feel like it's sketchy. Go into come to the hood, come visit the hood sometimes and see if you can last at least a day or two.
No, I get it. I mean, those things. There, I would say it's not a requirement, but if you try it out, you will learn a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So growing up in the hood, I can't imagine, but in Manila, where I spent half of my life,
Yeah.
it can get pretty crazy too. And similar to New York, it's important to have that situational awareness. And like you, I have developed that I don't know, but positive paranoia. I'm just gonna make up something here, bro, because I don't feel it as negative. Like I'm just, I'm watching my back. I'm not slipping. You know what I mean? I'm just watching my back, okay? Because I don't want to get caught off guard for anything.
Positive
And I think
paranoia. That's good.
I think in entrepreneurship, if you can have that situational awareness, being comfortable with trusting your instincts as a business owner, I think that's absolutely important if you're an entrepreneur. If you know how to trust your own instincts, you're not looking for validation for anybody. You trust your own ideas. You're making a move on your own ideas, and then boom, you just make it work from there. So I think the instinct. I'm not sure if you can develop that in book smart or just by reading, by reading books. Trusting your instincts. What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, you can read. I mean, we spoke about this when we talk about the Epicureanism way of life, and how I honestly felt that practical knowledge trumps having a higher IQ. When you look at the world in those lens, you engulf yourself. Let's say if you're really smart in your books, and then I use the medical field as a great example. Having those books, the people that study constantly, they have this kind of, and from I hear from nurses that work around residents that have had to go to school for literally their entire lifetime, they have no awareness of actual, like, how to deal with people, because they never had that experience. And this is what I've heard before, where since they're stuck in this kind of ecosystem, this little bubble of where, okay, books, they don't know how to actually deal with people. And that is a big part of being a great entrepreneur, being a great service worker, being a great employee, or whatever you decide to do with your life. You have to understand people at the end of the day. And if you're just, you could be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't understand people, what good is that? What good is that smartness? On the other hand, having practical knowledge, having that kind of experience, having street smarts will help you become a better entrepreneur, will help you maneuver the dangers that come with being an entrepreneur. Because when you're in a business, there's danger lurking around every corner. You have competitors, you have your own friends, you might even have people that you work with screw you over because if you don't have contracts, if you don't have things in place, even if it's your friend, it doesn't matter. You need to have everything written down, because that could create strife. And that's part of being street smart. Having legal representation is street smart. Like all these
Positive
things,
paranoia, man.
having all these things it's street smarts.
And
Yeah.
you know, another thing that I would like to bring up when it comes to entrepreneurs specifically is that, and let me know if you agree or disagree, right? Is that I think it may be difficult for some entrepreneurs to be book smart, because a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, we didn't finish school. You know what I mean? School failed us, man. We didn't finish school. So where do we get, how do we make up for that knowledge? It's through experience,
Yeah.
through just getting it done, through just taking action, learning from our mistakes, getting back up from all the hits, and just making it work from there.
Hmm.
Where do you land on that?
And I mean, you just said it yourself earlier. I mean, you've gotten that experience in the streets, and even if you don't have a proper education, there are lots of people that haven't fully finished school and managed to create huge businesses simply because they were hungry. Like Les Brown says, they were hungry.
You got to be hungry.
People that have gone to school and have an education have a source, have a sense of entitlement, like they're deserving of a job, like they are more. Yeah, and that's what I've seen with people that have had like a master's degree, a PhD, or even a bachelor. They feel that, okay, I've achieved this level of education in my life. Now I can show this piece of paper to an employer and tell them that I'm able to do this. It's not true. We're moving into a different era where people are more understanding that, okay, just because you have a piece of paper from a university doesn't mean that you're better than somebody else in terms of
Right.
having an education, because you can get an education in many forms and many ways. And then those skills that let's say a person that went to school might not necessarily be the best skills for the job that you require. I'd rather hire somebody with practical knowledge, some street smarts that in my company, than to hire someone that has gone to school for a long time. Someone that has a
Classic
natural ability
example.
to
That is
work
a
with
classic
people.
example. If you were to hire someone in your startup who has an MBA, or
Yeah.
someone who has started a couple of businesses before, and then has tried and failed,
Yeah,
but then this person has that experience. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Classic. That's a good one, Ray.
And then for me to you, I want to ask you, like, how can you tell if someone has street smart? So like, you're an entrepreneur, you say, if you want to hire someone that has that kind of practical knowledge, is there like a test, is a way to measure it? Like, can you explain?
So someone who, and this is coming from empirical observation once again, I've never, like, when I was recruiting people for my company before, I had no idea how to recruit. I just asked one question.
Mm-hmm.
What's your biggest failure and how did you overcome it? That was the only question I asked in the interview. And that's how, based on how they explain it, what their takeaways were, what did they learn, and all of that. That's how I knew that this person was street smart.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we mentioned earlier, being street smart has a lot to do with your adversity quotient, your emotional quotient. Hence the specific questions that I asked. What's your biggest failure? How do you overcome it? What do you do about it?
You know what I just thought of when you said that too, about like, what is your biggest failure? When you go to school and you graduate, do you necessarily think that the people that graduated had experienced failure? Because if they have experienced failure, they wouldn't have graduated in the first place. So they don't really have those kind of experience of like experiencing failure.
And so I own a consulting company that focuses on stress management. And sometimes I get academic people who apply for a coaching program that I provide. And the reason why they apply specifically is because they haven't developed the stress management skills to be able to accommodate high pressure and demanding work from their corporate job after graduating.
That's true. That is true.
So it's just not.
They've been coddled and cradled.
I will be so bold as to say it's just not developed in school.
It's not.
Stress management. I mean, they probably brush a little bit of it in psychology, but otherwise, why would they be coming to a stress management expert then? You know what I mean? So I think there are two things or two types of people, especially when we're talking about street philosophy. I'm not sure if you've heard of this. There's the silver spoon and the scrapper. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So the silver spoon is someone who was fed with a silver spoon. Basically, everything was given to them. They've gotten everything that they wanted. They did not experience that much hardship. They, there's a straight path for it's a very linear path for them to go, as opposed to the scrapper, wherein you gotta make ends meet on your own. So I'm talking about the people who, yeah, you may have went to school, but you're paying for your own tuition. You know what I mean? The scrapper is someone like you who grew up in the hood, made it, survived, made it out there. Look where you are now. And then, but you have that resilience. You have that toughness. In corporate, you got to be fucking tough, man. Someone messing with you in the email, you can be like, yo, you know where I'm from? I will mess you up. You know what I mean?
No.
That is what, obviously, I don't type that, but I'm definitely thinking, yo, man, you know where I'm from? Oh, okay. You talk to me like that. But that's where I'm coming from.
Or condone.
That's where I'm coming from with that, man.
Like, oh my God.
I think you know where I'm from, man. You better.
Were there moments where you almost lost your cool? I'm sure there's been times.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely.
But how did you deal with it, and how did you handle it? Because I think if you saying, okay, yeah, you know where I'm from, like a lot of people of color, Black people, Hispanic people watching this, people from the Philippines, they want to know, yeah, okay, you're right. I might be thinking it, but I don't want to act upon that. How do I deal with this in a better way?
So what I did, I can only come from my explanation. What I did was I had, and this is crazy too, because that is amplified from growing up from an aggressive environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just freaking, what's the word I'm looking for? I was just a little bit unhinged. Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't say a little bit. I was freaking unhinged, man. Like, the slightest thing would take me off. Yeah. And what I did was, what's the word we've been mentioning since earlier? I became aware of it, situationally aware of it. Yeah. So, not situationally now, but mentally aware of it. So I started asking myself, why am I flipping out? You know what I mean? Why am I letting this person take ownership of my peace? Yeah. Why am I giving away my power? As soon as I started questioning why I'm so angry, why I'm flipping out, because I know what I'm capable of coming from all the experiences that I've had.
And that comes from practical knowledge or actual book smart, because that is why when book smarts play a key part, it's something that you've learned over time.
Right.
You learn how to control your emotions it's all connected, but I agree with you.
It's complementary. at the end of the day, I feel like book smarts and street smarts, although I started with street smarts, eventually I started reading books. I started, educating myself. So it definitely complements. I think someone who is overly street smart or someone who is overly book smart, I think anything in excess in that regard is not good.
Yeah, it just gets out of balance. That is
exactly
true.
So for example, I have worked with entrepreneurs who have MBA degrees. I hate working with them. Why is that? Number one, they are so structured. No, this is how they taught it in my fucking prestigious university, and this is the process I'm going to follow. But business entrepreneurship, that landscape is always changing. So you never know, the education that you got, it may not be relevant in today's time anymore.
That is true.
And so part of being street smart is, being able to adapt. You
Yeah,
know what I
and
mean? And so it's difficult for, as far as I know, it's difficult for, at least when I work with MBA people, it's difficult for them to adapt and innovate. Going back to
mm,
what you said earlier, Ray, about the entitlement of the piece of paper, like, yo, man, I worked hard as fuck for this piece of paper. I am not gonna tell you are not gonna tell me otherwise to try some other process, especially if you don't have an MBA. Like, you know what I mean? So for me, it makes it difficult for me to work with those types of people, because I'm a very stand up guy. You know where you stand when you're talking
mhm.
to me, but also I'm coming out with ideas. I'm resourceful. I'm looking at trends. I'm innovating. I'm doing shit that I have not done before as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you're going into uncharted waters. You're
Yeah,
trying to figure it out, and in those situations, no literature, no books, nothing that you find online is going to help you with what you're doing right now. Your experiences is unique to you, and as you go along in this journey of being an entrepreneur, you have to make these decisions. You have to decide, what am I going to do in this trying time. Look, 2023. Let's talk more current events.
yeah.
People are getting laid off. People are the economy is not looking so great. There's there's mud in the water right now. There's people are scared. People don't know what to do. And so in 2023, what advice would you have for entrepreneurs to maneuver this tumultuous time?
For me, it's about, we've been talking about it earlier, just trusting your instincts.
Hmm.
People who are already street smart, you already know what I'm talking about. But people who are book smart, let us explain. All right. Trusting your instincts. Since 2020, the world has been uncertain. It We just don't know what to expect.
Hmm.
But the only thing that is certain is what you have developed in here, in spirit, and in here, in wisdom.
Hmm.
And I think that's where the instincts come in. I
Yeah.
think when you trust your instincts enough, you trust yourself enough, you will make a move on any idea that you want to make a move on as an entrepreneur, regardless of how the economy is looking, regardless of how uncertain the world is right now. You're just gonna do it. You're just gonna get it done
And
because you trust yourself that much to make it work.
And to expound on that, I want to say that it also makes you happier and it makes you feel more accomplished because it's
Yeah,
something that you've done. Whether you fail or whether you succeed, the decision was ultimately yours, and you have nobody to blame but yourself if it goes down. And
right.
then you can reap all the rewards if you did it and it was right. But at least you've done something. At least you tried. When you're an entrepreneur, this is the path that you're just looking at. It's never going to be the right moment. It's never going to be the right time. You just have to make the decision, take action, and just use your intelligence, whether it's street smarts, whether it's your IQ, whether it's your book smarts, whatever it may be. As an entrepreneur, you have to know when to use what type of intelligence. Even if you have an MBA or a PhD, whatever it may be, thinking about what is the right skill set that I need to use for this particular moment. Right now, in 2023, our first ever live
That's
YouTube
right.
cast.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know, brother. This is quite the endeavor, and
We're
then
innovating, man.
we're
We're
innovating.
innovating.
We're innovating in a way where YouTube has been around for more than what 13, 14 years, and now
Mhm.
we're just joining the platform.
But no one is talking about the union of philosophy and entrepreneurship.
No,
We're
they're
bringing
not.
it, man. We're bringing it. For everybody, in case you don't know, Ray and I, we started in Clubhouse last year. The first few months, we did not know what our niche was. Eventually, we found it. Like I said earlier, is the marriage of ancient philosophy and business. And I think
Mhm.
if I were going to leave anybody a last piece of advice before we go right now, is that marry those two, book smart and street smart.
Yeah,
Like I said
your
earlier, it
IQ.
complements each other. Too much
Well,
excess of something, like what Ray said earlier, you're not going to be balanced. And
no,
that's bad.
absolutely. I'm I'm in that same boat, bro, but I think there's more elements to this. I think there's the IQ, the EQ, the AQ, and the SQs in the
Agree.
world. And you have to kind of make sure that you develop each one of those with each one of those intelligence quotients, because I strongly believe that if you ever want to be a well-rounded human being, you can't just have favor one thing over another. You have to have all of those elements combined. And if you are out there starting your business, take this to heart, take these notes, and I promise you'll be a better human being for it. You'll be a better business owner for it. And yeah, I love doing this. This is experimental. We're coming at the end of our show. I love sharing these great stories and great tidbits for everybody out there. And I'm hoping, we are going to be doing more of these every single week here at the Business Temple Show. So please follow us. Please subscribe. My name is Ray Martez, as Super Alex Padron.
What's up?
Here every week. If you would like to join us, please email us at thebusinesstempleShow@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at the Business Temple Show, and we'll at the Business Temple, we'll put it up there. There we go.
There you go. And let's play him out.
Let's play us out.
All right, everybody. Thank you once again. Thank you, Super Ray. I appreciate you. Y'all have an awesome weekend. From now on, we're going to be here. YouTube, staying consistent. This is every weekend, guys. Every single weekend. Saturday, 11 a.m. PT, 2 p.m. ET. Eventually, I'm going to move up to New York. This year, we're going to start doing it live in our own studio, Ray. We're just going to bring it to the next level with y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed Street Philosophy and Entrepreneurship. We will see you again next week. Peace.